You know, by showing these important events that take place during the trial, all in the opening of this final episode, I hope you realize you're giving a great deal of plot away.
The legendary troupe Grammary is performing for the first time in 7 years.
The legendary troupe Grammary, as in Valent and... who else has he got in the troupe now? You've heard of the jurist system, yes? The jurist system? That's right, the new legal system everyone's talking about. Ah yes, the jury. The system used in American courts since December 1791 under the Sixth Amendment. Wait, that doesn't sound new at all. In Japan, maybe, but not in America is my point. Well, they're thinking about reviving that system. They're calling the new system the jurist system. No more doing whatever you like, Your Honor. Not quite that harsh. The jurists cooperate with the judge. First of all, like I've said already, America has used a jury since the ratification of the Sixth Amendment. What happened to the American version of Ace Attorney to make them want to abolish the jury anyway? Second, jurist is not the correct word to use for a member of the jury. The correct word is juror. Jurist refers to a law expert, which is ironic because the jury consists of common citizens. That's the whole point of the jury, is that the common folk get to have a say in the verdict. They even say that in the game. I feel like I'm on some kind of education TV show, starring Dr. Wright. Ha! Dr. Wright is Assistant Trucy and Mascot Apollo, the perfect team. Apollo's your subordinate! Can you stop treating him like crap? Well, for one, I'll be chair of the Jurist System Simulated Court Committee. You mean this former attorney who lost his badge after presenting fabricated evidence gets to be chairperson of a legal procedure? Sure. It's just a test case anyway, no sweat. Yeah, but there's still a verdict to be decided. And a potentially serious sentence. Most serious in a worst-case scenario. Ah! You mean the verdict's for real? That's not a test trial! That's a real trial! Indeed it is real, in which case, why the heck is it called the Jurist System Simulated Court Committee if it's not a simulation? What day is it today, Apollo? Huh? Today? I think it's Recycle Your Plastics Day. Nope, it's not. The day here is October 7th. Recycle Your Plastics Day is on November 15th. You'll need that envelope someday. Someday soon. Don't open it until then. Well, why didn't you just hold on to it then? Because that would be the logical thing to do. Not according to Phoenix. Apparently he needs Fallon to react to something he has shown for plot-related purposes. I could give you permission to examine the scene of the crime. Good. That's better. But you can't talk to anyone involved with the case. That's not gonna stop me from talking to the witness. Oh God! Is our client going to be much longer? What are you talking about? Haven't you already started the meeting yet? We've been sitting here for 20 minutes and the guard hasn't done anything to make sure a conversation starts between me and Vera? I'm the amazing Mr. Hat. Yeah, maybe scaring the crap out of our client with Mr. Hat to break the ice isn't the best idea. Whoa, whoa, slow down there, game. We didn't learn the name of the victim just yet. You can't just do that. Well, he was killed. The artist who owns the studio, that is, Mr. Drew Misham. Drew Misham. And the studio is evidently named after him. But how many people use their first name for their business? Well, okay, I guess Carl's Jr. was named after co-founder Carl Karcher compared to Hardee's being founded by Wilbur Hardy. I'm sure there are other examples, but I don't often see businesses using the first name of the founder. Poisoning's a common way to get the job done when the murderer is a woman. This is ironic because most other female culprits use other methods. Dee Vasquez had someone impaled in an act of self-defense, Mimi Miney stabbed and shot someone, Dahlia Hawthorne stabbed one person, then electrocuted another, and Alita Tiala shot someone. Out of all these women, only one of them used poison for a different crime than any I alluded to, all in this one ramble. Apparently, she has this charm that magically gives her the courage to go outside. Why can't I ever get a normal client? You think you had it bad? Your old boss had to represent the same spirit medium on 2 separate occasions, a magician in love with a 16-year-old, some dude who can't stop using his wrist communicator, and a self-proclaimed phantom thief. Oh, but there's still just one more client he represented before he left the practice, probably the strangest of them all. So, the poison that killed the victim was on this mug? That's right. See, it wasn't in the coffee. The killer applied it to the rim of the mug itself. And only in that specific spot? Is that what the police think? She didn't cover the entire rim with that poison? Because that would have been genius. Why does the game force me to clear the talk options, then present the coffee mug before I can advance? Because I already presented the coffee mug before I cleared every topic and collected everything I need for the time being, and the game still doesn't advance until I present the coffee mug after I clear the topics. The same info is being repeated, so why does it matter which order I do it in? See, this solution is used to test for atroquinine. Atroquinine, the deadly poison found in the autopsy. Is atroquinine just not known to the common folk? How come I've never heard of it, nor can I find out about it online? Yay! Let's give it a whirl, Apollo! Oh! What are you doing? I was just seeing if I got a reaction off of you. How's this for a reaction? Never do that again! I'm not poisonous! Tell that to those hapless witnesses on the stand. I freaking love Trucy. For the first time in Ace Attorney history where you're spraying for evidence you need, you gotta back out of the process before the game can actually present you with something to work with when you try the procedure again immediately after. The addressee on the envelope says Drew Misham, 57 Cape Rivers Drive, Yachtsville, California, 96134. All I can say is thanks, game, for not only further confirming the state in which the English localization takes place, but also writing up a fictional city. Someone opened this, didn't they? My lips are sealed. Get it? Her lips are sealed because the alpha... Okay. It has a real name, but it's much more complicated. The X-ray spectralization... something. How am I supposed to remember all that? But you have no problem saying... hydroxyacetyluna dos tres? I tried. Alright, let's give it a spin, Apollo. Yeah! What are you doing? Oh, just seeing if I can see through your hair. But it's like lead. What exactly did Trucy do to try and test that with this particular machine? Can someone help me understand this? There's 3 different outcomes you could get from this, which is impressive to program for a game that's usually on a singular timeline. The game requires us to present this envelope to Valand. Why other than foreshadowing would they do this to us? 3 days from now, make ready for a miracle! He's not exactly wrong on that. I never noticed this until I read about it on the wiki, but when Brushel blinks, it's with his bottom eyelids. That's not how it works. You know me? Do I know you? Of course I know you! Stares down witnesses on stand till they spill beans! End quote. I mean, I guess. I'm the interviewer, you understand, yeah? I'm the one asking the questions here. End quote. Interviewer thinks he needs to do end quotes for everything he does or responds to. End quote. For instance, you think a movie director watches movies? What kind of example is that? Of course they do! Where the frick do you think they get their inspiration? Oh, wait, that was his point? What exactly was his point? These rough sketches are not printed in the same aspect ratio as the actual canvas we scanned. Wait, is Drew Misham your father? Give me a break! Does that seem even remotely possible to you? Just a little bit. At least at this point in time before Spirit of Justice, or even the Mason system in the same episode. I'm Trucy. Trucy Wright. That's right with a W. But not right. Right. Jurists, judge well, and judge cool. Now see here, Prosecutor Gavin, I was going to say that. Were you really going to say judge cool? What's this about a star falling? I just wanted to know more about what he witnessed. I didn't expect Apollo to ask a stupid question. Why does presenting the autopsy report of this new statement not work? Just because neither the description nor the contents of the report itself say anything about the poison being slow acting? You only see that in the description of the coffee cup? That's no excuse. Was a yellow envelope found at the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, no. But a forehead. It's easy to mistake the color of an envelope. Are you sure? Red and yellow are very different from each other as far as I'm concerned, even in a black and white photo. Yes, it was a yellow envelope, and he put it in that box. Well, apparently this yellow letter has nothing to do with this case. How I wish it did. Just think if that were a suicide note. What a story! Who mails suicide notes? Ew, is the game giving us a close-up of someone's sweaty armpit? The game requires us to go close-up on someone's sweaty armpit! Also, sweat doesn't just disappear like it occasionally does here. You're hiding something about his talent. Why is Brushel's mouth moving while it's Apollo's line? Is he brushing his glasses with the toothbrush? I'm pretty sure that would get them all foggy. Not a great idea. In other words, if I have this straight, the stamp! Poison! On the stamp! Lick! Lick! Gasp! End quote. I'm pretty sure he'd only need to lick the stamp once. It's not nice to pick on the Fräulein, Clavier. Ah! Emma! What was the point of that? You can find out if that stamp was in that envelope. Easy. Care to explain yourself, Fräulein Detective? Glare at me all you want, but science is on my side. It's all in the residue, right? You mean to tell me Apollo wasn't able to answer that himself before Emma walked in? He was the one that presented the frame! The sender of that letter 7 years ago could hardly have been our defendant! Apollo! I think we just won! Premature celebration. Very well, this court finds the defendant. Objection! That objection was warranted, not for what Clavier is about to say, but really for the fact that the jury is meant to decide this trial. Where exactly is this poison stamp again? Have you brought it to court for us? I see no proof that such a thing ever existed. That's because you're blind. It's right there in the red envelope where the residue was left. You can debate the matter of the poison stamp, but you can't say there's no proof, because there is. We just need to work out how it all ties together. The fake clue that's thrown us off the poison's trail is none other than... None of these options make sense at face value. You just have to pick the one that makes the least not sense. You know, like voting. You may not like either party, but you just vote for the one you dislike the least so that you're voting against the other. The forger wasn't caught in that trap 7 years ago. This could only mean that the one who was caught in the trap wasn't the forger! This isn't making Apollo's case look exactly good. He makes it sound like Vera knew the stamp was poisoned and didn't tell her father. No! Bullcrap! It hasn't been nearly 3.5 hours! Father, he knew of you. Of both of you. Your late father? He was watching, gathering information. All about the Wright & Co. law offices. From where? Newspapers? Just how much coverage does the place get to gather all that information? Unless it was just the basics of the case that were the foundation of the rough sketches, because all we see from the rough sketches is an ongoing poker game, someone pulling a noodle stand, and a flaming man playing guitar. Who was Mr. Misham? How am I supposed to know? What if he was Daddy's daddy? Judging from the relative ages involved, I'd say it's highly unlikely. Drew Misham died at 52, and in this game Phoenix is 33, yet has a daughter who is 18 years younger than him. Hard to really say Drew Misham being Phoenix's father is really that much of a stretch with a 19-year gap. A 10-minute recess went 12 minutes. That's cheating. Were you the one who painted that painting? The remarkably similar one? Why does the second question have a question mark at the end, but the first question doesn't? It's in the same text box, too. Anytime we get to the fourth statement in Vera's testimony, we have to watch this animation of her drawing in her sketchbook before we're allowed to do anything with the statement. Why? Just put the sprite at the speaking phase so the line can be typed out. You know, like pretty much every other witness. The stamp was a picture of my favorite magicians, so I kept it. Why do I have to present the Grammarly ticket at this statement? Why can't I just press her? Those magicians you liked. Was it this bunch? Apollo! They're not a bunch! Yeah, they are. No! I don't know! No. The long road to the truth takes us to the record of another trial. A trial that looks familiar, yet somehow weirder than it used to. And also, back to using older music for the flashback. Every time the defendant lobby was shown in the original trilogy, there was always a guard near the door. But here's the same lobby design being shown in Apollo Justice, yet there's no guard? What's going on here? Is it just to make Grammarly's escape that much more believable? Why is the guard detail that much more lax? Here. Let me just give you this convenient page out of nowhere from some stranger because my dad still needs to teach me stranger danger. Ow, my eyes! Since when did this room look so bright? Achtung, baby! Time to call on the opening act. What was his name again? Ah, yes. Detective Gumshoe. Gumshoe? I thought Clavier said something in the previous episode about Darian Crescent being the first detective he worked with. Okay, now I really wish they had Darian as the detective in this flashback case. Look what they did to Gumshoe. They completely murdered his look. Also, whatever happened to that jacket Maggie got him? You know, the one he said he would never take off? Hey, you! Huh? Me? Today's the day, pal. Today I win and you lose. I got confidence in my testimony today, see? Think back to when this game was first released, before the Investigations duology. Not long before, but just stay with me. If you remember the ending of Investigations 2, Edgeworth decided to be more lenient with Gumshoe's salary lately. That may have given him that boost of confidence here, but then again, hard to imagine Gumshoe ever being this cocky. Still, without Investigations 2, there's no other explanation. That has to be the most clean bullet hole I've ever seen in my life. No blood or anything. Hold it! I have nothing against Sam Riegel as a voice actor, but what are his voice lines doing in Apollo Justice Ace Attorney? Just because Ben Judd has had sexual allegations thrown at him, you can't bring his lines back? I didn't mind it so much in Turnabout Trump because it was older Phoenix we were looking at, but during the flashback, I would prefer if we heard Ben Judd at least there. Oh wait, sexual allegations come before archive voices even being there? Gosh dang it!
First, we got this letter. It says, shoot in the forehead loud and clear.
I could see that, but I still wouldn't do it.
Well, maybe you need to grow yourself a backbone, pal.
So if your father-in-law wanted you to shoot him, you wouldn't hesitate. Not even for an instant? Freaking gumshoe.
Of course, the defendant is known for wearing gloves. We might say that a lack of fingerprints is, in fact, a fingerprint of its own.
Aha! Intriguing point. Well made.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not well made. Not intriguing.
What the heck are you talking about? That's a pretty solid case against the defendant. You just had to present the contradiction to make it not solid anymore. That's all. Those must be the fastest hour 21 minutes ever. What did you talk about?
Ha ha, Mr. Wright. Did I not just tell you? It does not concern this case.
It very well could. I have in my hands a ripped out diary page that bears a strong resemblance to the one you have, just with different words. Give me the real page, dang it! I know you're planning your escape regardless of the outcome, but it doesn't have to be this way. It's like you're trying to get me fired, but to what end? A 15-minute recess lasted 16 minutes. That's cheating. Your decisive witness? How many times have I heard those words? Though they often turn out to be far less decisive than you think. That's a good point. We're kind of tired of hearing decisive witness by this point, however unavoidable it may be.
And what does it say? Surely not the same thing.
Perhaps you should see for yourself.
Why, it's practically the same. The court accepts this into evidence.
Not even gonna note the time of arrival to be different from the first letter submitted? No? Okay.
Only one of my old friends sat in the hospital room that night.
What did Zach tell me back in the lobby?
Of course, I had no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night at the appointed time, and found there upon his bedside table 2 pistols.
Thanks for spelling out the contradiction for me, because you don't even have the decency to update the pistol in the court record. You see, I was unaware that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of the rifling marks only proved the type of gun that fired them. Let me guess, you never heard about Zach and Valen's quick draw shoot 'em? Except earlier you had said, many boys and girls joined the police because of that pistol, I hear. If you were aware of Zach and Valen's quick draw shoot 'em, why did you not know there existed more than one of these guns? Take our debut hit single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love. Cue to the song, press the play button, and it will play for 2 minutes 15 seconds. Do it 100 times, and the result is the same. Their debut single was only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long? What a ripoff! Wait until you hear You Suffer by Napalm Death.
We do usually only get an estimated time of death, true. I'm not sure I've heard of a verified time of death.
The lost turnabout! Alaka, no! Alaka, no. I suppose there's no substitute for experience. You're one to talk. While you were still a rookie, you took on the feared prosecutor Manfred von Karma, and won. The liquid in the IV is yellow, yes.
But how did this witness know that?
Thinking further ahead than you? We just got done explaining how the yellow liquid only looked green because it was in a blue plastic bag. Sure, you're not gonna immediately see yellow, but still, I pour lemonade in a blue translucent cup, it'll look green, but I'm pretty sure you'd still call it yellow lemonade. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. Even though it's his personal diary? He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he'd overlook such an obvious problem with his precious evidence. There's an obvious problem with the evidence, and that's the fact your client hadn't given you the page that's actually missing.
But there's no proof this is a fake!
It's a fake.
Huh.
To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt, this is mine.
And the game doesn't even give us clarification on what this special mark is, even with the present case. Trade secret, I guess.
Do you have an explanation for yourself?
If I did, would the court hear it?
Probably not.
Phoenix knows an oncoming cliche when he sees one and averts it slightly. Think of it as a game. Decimating the fourth wall. The Mason system is basically an investigation chapter, just longer and less interesting. Let's say 7 years ago, but never specify the exact date. We have an estimate, which is 2 weeks, but that's pretty much it. Hard to believe, I know, but Zach Gramry practically left his 8-year-old daughter to some lawyer he only met while playing poker. And I was thinking, I haven't paid for lunches at my last school for a year. So thanks, Daddy.
Kick a fired man while he's down, why don't you?
Why does it feel like she's already in charge?
Probably because you're letting her make all the decisions.
So here's my idea. We'll make a new office. Law just seems so stiff, doesn't it?
Probably because the guy running it isn't a lawyer anymore. After all, I am directly descended from the famous Zach Gramry.
Directly descended? He's your father.
Oh, and now I'm directly descended from the famous Phoenix Wright, too.
Trucy has an interesting idea of what it means to be directly descended from someone. No question about Zach, but with Phoenix, you're in an adoptive relationship. That's not direct descent.
Baby frogs grow up to be frogs?
They say that?
I always thought it was funny, though.
What was?
Aren't baby frogs called tadpoles? Maybe they thought it would be easier to understand that way for kids? How stupid. Never mind the fact I've never heard that expression. Trucy has a point. Wouldn't it make more sense to say tadpoles grow up to be frogs? Hey folks, it's Mr. Hat. I got to say it's good to be seen. Yeah! That has to be the most delayed reaction to shock I've ever seen.
You may be a magician, but I've no talent.
Oh, I'm sure there's something you're good at.
Well, when you put it that way.
Phoenix eventually settles on being a piano player, and despite being terrible at it, he kept that same job for 7 years and never considered trying a different talent. And no, poker doesn't count.
Hey, you there, sir!
Get in the hands for your head! No, no, no!
Dang it, not you again!
Oh, it's a hard knock life, sir!
It's a hard knock life for Mike. It's a hard knock life for Mike. So here I am, sir, forced to start from square one, a lowly bailiff.
But your uniform.
I took it with me as a souvenir the day I was fired.
That can't be legal.
Indeed it can't. Someone's got to do something about this guy in his uniform. It's been 2 weeks since the trial ended.
I'm dying!
I'm dying over here!
I swear this megaphone is even more deafening than Apollo's cords of steel. You know something, and I'm going to find out what. Zach Gramry vanished from this room. How'd he do it?
How, sir? Well, sir, I can't say as I... Sir!
Is it really that embarrassing? No, it's just a case of you following the wrong person into the wrong lobby because of an illusion. Being able to figure out that illusion is actually incredible.
What's that?
Took him long enough.
Someday, sir, I'll be standing side by side with the great Detective Gumshoe!
Guamshoe? I've heard of a gumshoe.
Also, I bet fans are still waiting for the day we see Meekins and Gumshoe together solving crimes. First order of business, though, we gotta bring back Gumshoe. Present day? No, the incident at the Borscht Bowl Club took place in the past still. Maybe the same year, but we have a specific date for Shady Smith's murder. It's April 17th.
Zach Gramry? This must be a bad dream. In a sense, this guy ruined my life.
And he comes to the Borscht Bowl Club to ruin your life even further, except you're the one caring for his daughter now. Which only further begs the question why Zach wanted to destroy Phoenix's poker reputation in the first place. Maybe we'll get some clues on why as we have our final conversation with him, but don't get your hopes up. This is the real page that was torn from the book. Magnifi gave it to me that night.
You could have told me this earlier, like 7 years earlier.
Once again, I must apologize. It was all I could do to prepare for my escape from that courtroom. That answers absolutely nothing! Why did you have to plan such a dramatic escape? What were you hoping to gain from this? Trucy's mother, Magnifi Gramry's only daughter. End quote.
What? Magnifi's daughter? Is that true, Mr. Zach?
We learned about this in the past! Why is Phoenix so shocked to hear this? As you said, I have come out of hiding today to make this document legally binding. Once that is done, I shall slip once more underground.
Without seeing your daughter?
It would be best if I did not. Why? Zach abandoned her for 7 years, then get some legal paperwork out of the way for her to inherit performance rights, and he doesn't even want to see her again? Zach is an awful father!
The Gramry power. I was close to understanding it, but I needed more.
No, we needed more. You already had the information. We're just playing through your stupid games to grasp an understanding of the past and the present.
Present day? Yeah, but what's wrong with typing October 8th?
He's doing his nails.
How many men use nail polish anyway? Is Kristoph transgender by any chance?
You told me what you knew about the client, and I couldn't see any psyche locks.
Psycho locks? Is that some sort of asylum security, or a new hairstyle perhaps?
This is why Phoenix should not be talking about psyche locks out loud. The psyche locks tell me you're not the forger, which makes your daughter the only possibility.
I feel very much on the verge of going psycho-lock myself.
I would too if Phoenix says Psyche Lock to someone who isn't a Fae one more freaking time! And then there's this. What is Phoenix leading off of to say this? I'm just showing the stamp so Vera can open up to me. Father got a letter from that person. That person? You mean that letter was from the client? Oh, we talked about the Grammarys forever that day. I'm sure that's why I was sent that stamp. I didn't want to just send it back, so I took it.
They're a sneaky one, this client.
More sneaky than past Phoenix could credit them for, in fact. Unlocking Vera's Psyche locks in the past doesn't really make much sense. True, Phoenix suspected Kristoph of having involvement in the forgery of that diary page even in the past, but how would past Phoenix have been able to guess that nail polish was a good luck charm Vera received from the client? Sure, it's a unique looking bottle, but that means pretty much nothing. Also, since I'm now bringing up the matter of Phoenix suspecting Kristoph of the forgery, why wasn't Zack his first suspect? After all, he planned his whole escape that day and didn't show the real diary page until 7 years later. So, where'd you see this devil then? It was so quick, I don't remember well, but that's when I knew that person wasn't like other people. That's why I believe in my good luck charm. Even though you got it from that devil? There was a terrible accident, and the two of you killed your mentor's only daughter. If that wasn't the key to Magnifi's power over you, I don't know what was. What an evil piece of crap! Magnifi blackmailed his disciples just for the fact that his only daughter was killed! Magnifi Grammary was awful! And I would once again need to meet the one who bridged it all together. Except he's already been dead at the time you spoke with Brushel. Oh, that's what you mean. But that doesn't make any sense either. Were we already about to go start our poker game before I was even able to bring up anything crucial about Thalassa? Your marriage to Thalassa was her second.
How did you know this?
How indeed? This is the precise reason why it doesn't make sense going back to talk to Zack a second time after speaking with Brushel. Phoenix received that photo of Thalassa after Zack was already dead. No way should he be able to show it to him before. Maybe there's a reason why this is a simulation. Those bracelets are made of a special alloy. It is said to expand and shrink very slightly in response to body warmth. So they're temperature sensitive or something? Yes, this is how they shrink to the exact size of the wearer's wrist. That must be one heck of an alloy if it could just do that. There wasn't another disciple, was there? Another disciple? Such as? Mysterious? You'll see, now that I think about it, I realize that we never saw proof of her demise. We never saw her body. Magnifi's worse than I thought. His daughter survived, yet he still blackmailed his disciples over a murder that never existed? This addressee, though blurry, is David Chrysler, 424 Apple Street, Blazing Springs, California, 96012. Funny reference to David Chrysler, who is Capcom's product development communication manager and the voice of Winston Payne, but 96012 is a zip code for Tennant, California. Blazing Springs is just a fake city they made up for the game.
What's this? My, what a beautiful bottle. I'd like to give whoever designed that a hand.
Get it? Because it's shaped like a... Okay. It's like paint for nails. Know any women with red nails?
Ah, my wife has red nails. I see. So she's been painting them all this time.
Nail polish has existed for centuries. No way the judge shouldn't have known about it already. Seeing this image makes me wonder when and how Kristoph got such a mark on the back of his right hand. You accuse me of Drew Misham's murder, yes? Then allow me to ask you, what possible reason could I have to kill a painter? You forget that Vera lacks a clear motive too. Mr. Justice is clearly passionate about his claim. Should the penalty not match his passion? This is not an infinite penalty.
This mockery of a piece of evidence will never be accepted by the court. Evidence based on a video a man with no authority whatsoever claims he took.
I have no problem with the fake letter not being submitted as evidence, but the video's existence is stupidly easy to prove. Just get into contact with Phoenix and ask him to submit the video he took. But Apollo doesn't even get the court to consider that! So when you get down to it, there's 3 levels of stupidity here. Kristoph is stupid for thinking that kind of bluff would work, the judge is more stupid for letting the bluff actually work, and Apollo's the most stupid for not trying to convince the judge. For the triple stupidity, let's add triple the sins. 6 months ago, Kristoph Gavin was charged with murdering a mysterious traveler.
I remember him quite well. Shady Smith, was it? Poisoned in a Chinese restaurant. Tragic.
Don't even get me started on poison or Chinese restaurant. Keep going. We'll talk about it later.
Did she already know?
Of course she did. Not only did Trucy help facilitate Zack's escape from the courtroom 7 years ago, the man hardly looked that much different even before his death. Whoever defended Zack in court successfully would be famous beyond belief. Thinking that, Kristoph Gavin did the unthinkable.
He forged evidence.
Who could blame him when Zack was being deliberate in pulling a vanishing act at the end of the trial, thus hiding the real diary page?
You noticed something when you requested that forgery. When Vera Misham is nervous, she has a bad habit. A tendency to bite her nails.
And she hadn't done that for the 7 years since she was given that bottle? That's incredible! But now that I think about it, how is she alive even now? She was biting her nails when Phoenix visited her in the past. Does she just not apply her nail polish yet?
Whoa, they're looking at me. How unusual.
Right. Right. Okay, look, this is an epic breakdown, but for the past 17 minutes since I presented that last piece of evidence, I've just been doing nothing while the game played itself. Therefore, it doesn't really feel earned, and as a result, I assign this game 17 sins for those 17 minutes I'll never get back. I mean, it would take a bit of time for Kristoph to be summoned from prison as a witness, but still not sure about that much time. Picking guilty here means Vera dies in the hospital from her condition getting worse, but I'm not sure that's all it is, because if you pick guilty, she doesn't die. Would that mean she loses the will to live if a hung jury suspended the proceedings? And so, a verdict was reached on October 9th, 2:14 p.m., which would mean it took 1 hour and 26 minutes to come to the decision. What is this, 12 angry men, or rather 6 angry jurors? 10:12 a.m.? Vera opened her eyes at 8:30. Also, why do all these patients keep going to this clinic? The minute I see that creep pretending to be the director, I'm running for the hills. So Vera drew Trucy's head, but only Apollo's hair spikes? Baby steps, I guess. You know, I knew my real daddy was alive. Huh? I was there 7 years ago, remember? I was the one who helped him vanish from the courtroom. You did what? How? I'm not telling. Fine, you don't have to. What I'm wondering is, if Apollo knew how the 7-year-old trial went, and also the fact that Shady Smith was actually Zach Gramery, why doesn't he know about the particulars of the Vanishing Act Phoenix was able to work out? We're working under the assumption that Phoenix is telling Apollo most, if not all, of the particular elements that have been unearthed from the Mason system, but for some reason he doesn't have all the details. Here goes. Do us an impersonation, Mr. Hat. Objection! Not loud enough, and I like Miss Magic Underwear better anyway. That's magic panties, Apollo! Please don't keep that joke running forever. When I lost my memory, I was reborn as Lemmerar. She got amnesia from the accident involving the quick draw shoot-'em. Fine, whatever. But how was Magnifi able to hide that? It meant smuggling her to another country, altering some legal documents, etc. He had to do all that unnoticed in order for it to work. If you suggest it worked because of magic, I'll enslave you to perform my own quick draw shoot-'em. They don't know their mother. They don't even know their siblings. I will go to them when the time is right. What does that mean exactly? Why can't you go to them now? Sure, it would be shocking, but that's no excuse to wait. Also, that right time must be a really long time from now, because to this day, we still haven't resolved this plot thread. May Ace Attorney 7 come out one day to finally bring it to fruition. Also, does the fact that they're half-siblings really do anything for the chemistry or the demonized True Apollo shippers? Not that I think that ship should have existed anyway, since it's a 22-year-old and a 15-year-old. Like, is life treating you okay? It's like I found my long-lost big little brother. Take out the word little, and then you got something accurate. That's why it's over! The governors are breaking up! At least until 1 year later for one stint at a high school concert. Yo, that's why I made the OG cracker! For real! Does that look like something people would eat? It doesn't to me. I got a new one too! See, this time, I just put a big chunk of salt to the bowl. I swear you're trying to get at least one murder charge placed on you. Wesley Sicko reporting! Yes, curiosity is a sickness, and I am the cure! I don't think he understands the severity of what he did. Brush up, brush up, brushel. Brush up, brush up, brushel. With a brand new flavor. It's dandy for your teeth.
I'll give you a kiss, all right. A kiss of death!